Awesome. So if you could just start by telling us your name and kind of what you do.
Sure, my name's Colin. I actually own Willie's Marine here, but I do also work as a technician, working on outboards and other small engines. So yeah.
Awesome. So working on outboard small engines, how did you get into that kind of stuff?
I actually kind of just worked into it. My first job was actually on a boat, and things were always breaking on boats, so I just kind of started working with things with my hands, and was interested in that, and just worked my way up from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Um, so I know this is probably an impossible question, but what does a typical day kind of look like for you guys here?
Sure. So typical day, for the technicians, when they come to work, hopefully if everything's set up right, they'll have a list of repair orders that have been written up, and they'll just go through them in the order they're given, one by one. Complete the job. There's a lot of paperwork involved, so as you're doing, make sure you write all the part numbers down, clocking in on the repair order, so we keep track of your time. I think that's a huge part. So uh, yeah, so you get your repair order, clock in. You probably start with some kind of diagnosis, and then you write down what you think the problem is and what parts you think you'll need, and hand it to the service manager or the parts manager, and they'll get you parts or call the customer for approval, and then you get your parts, do the job, and that's it.
Cool, cool, awesome. As far as training, if you're talking, so you're talking to these freshman kids right
Sure.
now, what kind of training does somebody that is interested in this kind of work? What kind of training would they need?
So if you're interested, anything you can do to get experience, whether that's we have a couple kids here that we brought on just as shop helpers, and so they and then worked. Once they proved themselves as being good employees, we started putting time and effort into training them ourselves, and I think that's how a lot of these places work. I know there are technical schools in that, but honestly, I don't think any of our guys have been to technical school. Neither have I.
Okay.
Only manufacturer specific stuff, which you can't do until you get a job. So yeah, if you're interested, I'd say the best thing to do would be get whatever experience you can, whether it's in class in school or just calling around to those shops and ask them if they need someone to sweep the floors. And start there.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great advice.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know this is also kind of an impossible question, but
Sure.
you can go real basic.
All right.
What types of tools do you guys use working on
Oh
working on
man,
engines?
we use all kind. We have obviously having a good basic tool set, because all our guys, you gotta have your own tools at any shop. So just your basic stuff. You got your socket set, your combination wrench set, screwdrivers, and that's going to be 90% of what you use right there, honestly. But then there's all kinds of manufacturer-specific specialty tools for us tearing apart gear cases. Every manufacturer and every different size has its own special tools. That's just stuff you learn on the job. So
Sure. Yeah, it seems like every time I do a job, I don't have the tool I need.
that's true. There are a lot of specialty tools, and keeping a good toolbox is essential to being able to do your job. So yeah.
Awesome. What would you say? And I know these are all pretty broad,
Yeah.
difficult questions, but what kind of skills are important for someone getting into this kind of line of work?
First and foremost, I'd say just basic being a good employee will get you a long ways. Like I said, we have a couple kids that we started literally sweeping our floors and doing that kind of stuff, and so just showing a work ethic, showing work on time, and being respectful to the workplace and everyone there, I think is like if you do that, you can do pretty much anything. I think, right?
That's awesome. Basically, everyone we've talked to says the same thing. So
That's
hopefully the kids are understanding that.
Yeah.
How about challenges? What kind of challenges do you face in this kind of work?
So challenges. Well, I mean, again, there's the basic stuff like getting along with your fellow employees. Sometimes personality differences can be a huge problem in the workplace. So just being a good fellow worker is it can be challenging, but it's essential. And then aside from that, there's always technical challenges that you're troubleshooting something, and a lot of times with that, it comes down to we have resources like from the manufacturers that we can call hotlines and that kind of thing but also just the older guys being willing to learn from them. I mean, that's like probably one of the biggest things. You know, so if you have something that you're not sure how to deal with it, hopefully you got someone that you could ask. That's one of your fellow workers.
Absolutely, that's definitely a big one. That leads me to my next question. This is
Sure.
probably more for me than anyone else. But how has this trade changed in the last 10, 15, 20 years?
So there's definitely, I think, with a lot of trades, like just technology is moving so fast, and that does apply here. I mean, everything's very technical. You know, you still always have the basic mechanics. You know, you're still working with an engine, but how you interface with it has changed very dramatically in the last 10 years. So yeah, keeping up with the technology of things is probably the biggest change that we've had to deal with.
Sure. I'm sure it's a whole different game now.
Yeah.
I made the move from old 2-stroke to a new 4-stroke, and it's a little different here.
Totally different.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I think we've covered pretty much all of my questions. The last thing is if you could give any advice to a young kid, whether they're interested in this field or in any field in the trades, what kind of advice would you give?
You know, kind of like I touched on before, just having a work ethic and you know, that would probably be the number one. Then yeah, along with that, like I said, being respectful to people we work with, and whether they're your boss or not. I mean, you'd be surprised how far that will go. So I'd say that would have to be my biggest piece of advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Colin. We appreciate it.
Sure, you bet.